The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us today. As always, go to stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio to access any of the shows where you can see and hear the shows prior to this one. Simply go to stewart.com/radio. And if you're tuning in for the first time, I think this is going to be a very interesting show, or if you're a regular listener, it's a little bit different today as we are talking to guests by phone in various cities in the United States. We're going to talk to Steve Schmidt with Integrity Solutions. We're going to be talking about sales, some of the things that his company does, and the tremendous menu that they offer. In addition, super cities like San Francisco, Austin, Texas. We're going to hear from two real estate professionals in those cities, and they even have a partnership where they're helping people together, and they are with Compass Real Estate. Denise Paulson and Leslie Thompson in Austin. So a super show awaits. Thank you for joining us. Real Estate Matters begins right now. Let's welcome Steve Schmidt. He is the executive partner of a company called Integrity Solutions. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, an honor. Thank you so much.
Well, Steve, first of all, let's tell people you're doing such tremendous work, you and your team. Let's tell people, first of all, Integrity Solutions, what your company does.
Oh, that's kind of you. You know, we've been around quite a while. Ironically, founded in Amarillo, Texas, many moons ago by Ron Willingham, 55 years, actually. We are known, I guess a category would be a performance improvement firm, but on the human side of the equation. So really from day one, our focus has been to help our customers create more value for their customers in the arena of sales, service, and coaching performance.
And in fact, Ron Willingham is an author. I have his book right here.
Oh, do you? Ron authored, I believe, 11, perhaps 12 books. The one we're really discussing today, or the elements of it, would be integrity selling for the 21st century.
Let's start out and say, what is integrity selling?
Yeah, it's really what I would say put Ron on the map and eventually empowered our growth. It's our flagship solution, again, developmental process around selling effectiveness. And so really all of our solutions are grounded in values and ethics. But we define selling as identifying and understanding needs people have in creating value. Easier said than done, but really identifying and understanding distinctly different. But I believe most real estate agents, brokers, people in your world are really true servants at heart, and they've got a genuine desire to help people. So I also, due to the nature of the principle foundation, I think it really resonates because it is then embraced and applied, which can lead to their success.
And of course, I'm going to guess you help salespeople of all sorts, not just real estate people. Would that be correct?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yep.
Well, as we look at the real estate professional, how might you define the successful real estate salesperson at this point in time? Here we are getting ready for a brand new year coming right around the corner.
Yeah, and I tell you, I mean, really every industry, but just what we've gone through and the need to kind of reassess and maybe a fine lens on our individual and our collective performance, the firms we're with. But I do have a bit of empathy with the audience. I was a real estate agent in Arizona for several years, both on the residential and commercial side. But I think, Bill, the way I'd answer that first, perhaps, is that someone that's truly successful, at least from my perch, really understands the difference between being a transactional or product focused versus customer focused. It's a simple statement, but it can be very profound. You know, we often say success is more about who you are versus what you know. And maybe said another way, I do like this statement. I don't know who to give credit for it, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So we put that lens on. So I really think that resonates with real estate marketplace. But let me, if I may answer your question a little bit more specifically, we've done quite a bit of research in this arena, and there's a lot of ways to describe success. We've kind of whittled that down to something we call 4 traits. And these are the traits. The first one would be goal clarity, having goals. If you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there. So strong goal clarity, healthy emotional intelligence. That's really understanding how our emotions can impact our actions and kind of what goes on between the ears. The third one is social skills. And that's not really just the old school gift of gab, but rather the ability to effectively communicate with not just different types of people, but different situations. And then the last one being achievement drive. This one really becomes the multiplier. It's probably the most important. People with the same knowledge, the same experience, the same education. It's really that achievement drive that can trump all and escalate performance. So, last thought on this 4 traits is you cannot intellectually teach it, but you can experientially develop them. Integrity Solutions and what we do, we really not event training. We're known more for, we hang our hat on behavior change, and there's a lot of things that engenders time lapse repetition, applying it in the field. The way that we differentiate ourselves individually and what we bring to the market really means a lot. I mean, especially in the world of virtual interactions that we've got. So I just believe, people like agents and brokers are people that are responsible for their own livelihood. They know why they're good. But they're always seeking to get better. Looking at our client relationships and understanding how they may perceive us really matters. It's not so much what we think, it's their perception. Our headquarters is in Nashville, which is where most of our staff would be. We do have a location in Arizona as well, Phoenix. But yeah, we're scattered. We've got our folks working around the U.S. and actually several international partners as well.
And Steve, there's an acronym here, AIDINC. Let's tell people what that is and how it helps in the sales process.
Well, that's AID Inc. is an acronym. It's what we call our sales communication model. So it's one of the core foundational elements of integrity selling. And, it pertains to really both skill set and mindset. But it's a framework really to help people maximize every single interaction. So there's a lot of models out there. Ours, just a real quick overview, AID Inc., it helps people through a process. So we emphasize pre-work, but as you engage with people, how you approach them, gaining trust and rapport, getting them talking about themselves. The I stands for the interview or the needs assessment, asking questions, understanding needs. Once you understand their needs, demonstrate the D, understanding, sharing how we might provide value. The I is validate. It's kind of an umbrella step about creating value and validating not just yourself, but the firm you work for and the property and things that you're representing. Negotiate for the N is working through any concerns or issues that might prevent them from moving forward. And then the C is close, or just asking for an appropriate action step or commitment. Bill, one final comment on that. I firmly believe this. I mean, a component of this is really understanding more how much do I talk and how much do I listen. It's so much easier to listen people into buying than talking people into buying.
That's correct. Our some people's lean is towards talking a lot, but yes, listening is very, very important, no doubt about it. And in today's pace of real estate, I don't know how it is well, I do know how it is in many places. It is smoking hot almost everywhere, certainly here in Houston, Texas. I hear about Phoenix, Arizona, Nashville. Oh my goodness, it's the pace is unbelievable. But the N in the AIDINC, the negotiation of the real estate transaction right now, whether it's residential or commercial, is so important, and the realtor has to have that skill sharper than ever.
You bet. Yeah. I'll drill down into that just for one moment. We've got a short process that may be helpful to our audience, but when you have an objection or something that may surface, acknowledging it, making sure that you did understand it, and then clarifying, acknowledge being a positive thing. I would welcome objections. So you acknowledge it, you clarify what you've heard, and then respond. And honestly, that may take you back to the interview step. In fact, it probably should ask more questions.
We're talking with Steve Schmidt. He is an executive partner. The company is called Integrity Solutions. The website is integritysolutions.com. That's integritysolutions.com. Steve, what are some of the other things that people should know about the sales process and the sales process as it has evolved right here to, as you mentioned earlier, the virtual aspect of it, and even other things have changed? What are some of those other things we should know about in today's world? And
yeah, one of the things that our audiences, and especially international for some reason, but the virtual sales has escalated, and it means a lot of different things to different people. And certainly one of them is having a greater awareness around our communication. People are different, they see the world differently, and they buy differently. So understanding it, we've got the audience is probably familiar with a lot of different tools. DISC is one that is out there. Ours is called Behavior Styles. It's a proprietary model that just defines 4 types of people: talkers, doers, supporters, controllers. But the premise is simply understanding our own communication preferences and how others might perceive us, and then learning how to identify others as you engage with them and adapt to their style. It's a compelling, learning more about this goes back to the social skills I mentioned in the 4 traits. It's really aligning and understanding how we can communicate more effectively. Just as an example, a controller, a buyer, let's say a buyer of a home, they want a lot of data. They want analysis. They may want more comps than the average bear, whereas a talker just gets excited, is very innovative and creative, and you may not have to go to that level of detail in your conversation.
in fact, let's repeat the behavioral styles, those 4, one more time. Let's repeat for people.
Talkers and doers are on an upper 2 quadrants. They're more about recognition. And supporters and controllers on the bottom 2 quadrants, more about security, less risk.
And Steve, before we close the segment, what else would you like people to know?
Well, I want to share one thing. There's so much about the importance of skill set. Having been a realtor, I understand how much you need to know and understand about the market, the trends, and the process. But I tell you, the mindset equation, mindset trumps skill set day in and day out. And research indicates values, attitudes, beliefs. We have a congruence model. It allows you to peel back your onion. And Bill, I hope we're okay on time, but about 30 more seconds.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Yeah. We have 5 dimensions that impact performance. And I'm going to share them quickly because I'd like the audience to kind of filter this through and on your individual, situation. The first one would be my view of selling. I'm reflecting back on the people that I know that got into real estate, but, what do we think selling is? Is it doing something to somebody, or is it doing it with them and for them? And is it a noble profession? The second one is the view of my abilities. Based on my view of my selling, how do I feel about that? My confidence level, my self-image. Can I see myself, working with a wealthy buyer, for example? The third one is my values. Are my values aligned? Does, sincerity drive my actions? Fourth one is my commitment to the activities that it takes. And do I understand, am I committed to those activities to be successful? And then the fifth one, the belief in the product or the services that we offer. This goes beyond me. It's my company. It's the, our customers receiving value. So the notion is here, where gaps occur in those 5 areas, we're much less effective. We're perhaps, even disengaged. But where they're aligned, the result is a higher sense of purpose. And I go back to the achievement drive because we unleash that. I say we, I mean you, the individual. So it introspective look on mindset and what that means, it really is imperative to our success.
And Steve, also, I want to tell people, once again, the website is integritysolutions.com, and it's a tremendous website because it also lays out the full menu of the things you're doing: sales training, coaching training, all those things. So once again, people can go to integritysolutions.com. And Steve, let's tell people how they can reach out to you, or phone number, and of course, integritysolutions.com.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Interestingly, we just launched a new website last week. And one of the things I'll tell the people, we've got, well over 200, there may be resources that would be helpful there, articles, blogs, podcasts, different research. Bill, I'd be delighted to hear from anybody. My email is my first initial, Steve, and last name Schmidt. So Schmidt, SCHMIDT, at integritysolutions.com. And sure, my direct number would be 602-695-1191.
There you go, 602-695-1191. Steve Schmidt, Executive Partner, Integrity Solutions. Steve, thanks for being on the show.
Kind of you. Make it a great day. Thanks, Bill.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com, or call 866-798-2827.
I am super excited always about our guests, but today we have a very unique segment for you. We have two top real estate professionals. One is in San Francisco. That's right, a very exciting marketplace, San Francisco. She is Denise Paulson. And we have from another very exciting marketplace, Leslie Thompson. She is in Austin, Texas. And not only are they going to tell us about what's going on in those respective markets, but Leslie and Denise have a unique partnership as they work with Compass Real Estate. They have a super thing together. We're going to hear about that, how they're helping their buyers and sellers in each of their markets. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
How about that? Here we are, joined by the telephone lines or the cloud or wherever it is. Denise, first of all, let's tell people you are in San Francisco with Compass Real Estate. Tell us a little bit about your company and what's going on in San Francisco.
Well, San Francisco's market is busy, even in a bad market, and more on that later. But San Francisco is one of the first 5 cities that Compass entered into. And I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, I was approached by them a few times, and I just didn't want to change my email, but then they came in and then they acquired the company I was with, and so I was happily stuck with them, and I'm very happy to be with Compass.
Well, and it's very interesting, too, just saying the words. I mean, right away when I hear the word San Francisco, I can't help but see the Golden Gate Bridge, and I also very rapidly, all the movies I've seen with San Francisco as a backdrop appear before my eyes. It's a tremendous place. And in Austin, Texas, things are very exciting there as well. Leslie Thompson with Compass Real Estate. Leslie, tell us a bit about Compass in the Austin area and what's going on.
There are exciting times in Austin, and Compass is a key player, especially in the luxury market, which is where Denise and I focus. Austin has recently found itself on kind of a national, international radar screen with so many businesses wanting to leave other areas for the fact that we don't have a corporate income tax and we don't have a personal income tax. And so many employers and companies are finding that, per the Austin Business Journal, they're saving 15 to 30% on taxes by relocating to Austin and providing a better quality of life for their employees. So Denise and I just joined Compass after being recruited by Denise. So it's an exciting market, and we're glad to be participating.
Let's tell people about this partnership. I think that's interesting. Real estate professionals all over have tools, and they have resources, and people are the resources. However, to have 2 major cities, to have that partnership, give us a word, Denise, about how the partnership took place between these 2 cities.
Absolutely. Leslie and I have known each other since the early 2000s. I want to say it was 2001 or 2 when I met Leslie. I was having a party and she showed up. We just had a connection. And during the party and after several cocktails, I said to her, and she was planning, by the way, to go back to Austin the next day. Her truck was packed and her dog was ready to go, and she was going to drive back to Austin the next day. And I owned a concierge company at the time and did work in real estate, mostly for investors at that time. And I really needed someone to help me. And after hearing about her history in the real estate market in Houston and the surrounding areas of Texas, I begged her to stay and come and work for me. And the next morning she called and she said, "Are you sure that you mentioned that you wanted to meet with me. And before I get in this car and drive off, I want to be sure that you meant it. It wasn't just cocktail talk." And I said to her, "Be in my office Monday at 9. And she stayed for about 5 years. Is that right, Leslie? Is that about right?
Yes.
5 years?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And she helped me with my concierge company, and she licensed up in the California market, and she and I were very busy during that time. So we had that history. When I saw the Austin market begin to light up, I contacted some of my investors who buy from me sight unseen, by the way. So when I say investors, they're not coming to Austin with me to hunt for property. They assign me a task to make, I have a formula that works very well, which we can talk about later. But anyway, I went into the market with 2 investors, and Leslie procured those deals for me. And, I was here, she was there. There was some paperwork to be signed, and that was pretty much it. And that's how it began with the 2 of us from San Francisco to Austin.
It's always interesting to see how partnerships evolve, how they begin and how they evolve. But Leslie, also tell us, it sounds like you were in the Houston market at one time, too, and then moved to Austin.
Yes. I graduated from University of Texas, and my first job out of college was working for Coldwell Banker Commercial Real Estate Services, and I focused on office leasing. And I did that for several years and then ended up moving on and getting into political fundraising, and eventually moved out to the Bay Area to be a .com millionaire, like everybody else was doing at the time. And after good experience there and lots of learning, I was really at a point where I was burnt out on that startup environment, and I just happened to meet Denise, and then ended up getting my license back in California as well. Years later, we've always stayed in touch via our friendship, but we happened to be talking on a phone call, and she was like, "Your city is hot. I'm bringing my investors there." And so I renewed my license, and we've been focusing on the downtown luxury market. I was recruited to Compass, but once I got there, I was just delighted to have the resources. Compass is kind of a fairly new company and has taken a new approach where their customers are really the agents, and they have the resources and the technology, the in-house marketing experts. And so it's just been an amazing experience being at Compass.
So, and we've talked to many Compass real estate and other real estate professionals here in Houston, but what's interesting is your partnership sounds, I don't know that a lot of real estate professionals do this, but your partnership makes this very special to be able to help buyers and sellers in both markets.
Yes, that's right. And one of the things that we do well, and Leslie knows my formula, because remember, many, many years ago, she worked with me within that formula. So what I do is we invest in condominiums, luxury properties, so the high end, and we cater to the C-level executives. And so we buy these condos. We have interior designers come in and furnish them, and then we lease them up with our fancy marketing tools. And Compass is a big part of that, by the way. They've been really helpful to my business. And that's basically, in a nutshell, what it is that we do for the clients in San Francisco and the clients in Austin. both places have a demand for this type of rental market for the busy executive who just needs a place to get acquainted and settle in right away to get to work with all of these startup companies in both areas.
And Denise, let's tell people the price point of these properties in San Francisco.
A one-bedroom, you can get into a decent, beautiful one-bedroom for $1.2 million, and you can rent a furnished one-bedroom in that same building, perhaps for $6,000 minimum and up to $10,000 a month. And then a two-bedroom would lease up in the market of approximately $10,000 a month furnished, and that would cost around $3.5 million. And then my three bedrooms go from $4.5 million and up, and they lease up at the $20,000 plus price range.
Now, if you would, we're saying these properties are in downtown San Francisco, right? But paint a picture, if you would, as to what we're seeing in terms of views in San Francisco or these properties in a nutshell, if you would.
So, for example, I have a one-bedroom furnished that I just leased up in a new building in a hot neighborhood with views of the Bay and the Bay Bridge, with some buildings in and around on the 21st floor, and that one leased up furnished for $6,000.
Okay, so now let's go to Austin, Texas, where Leslie Thompson is. Paint us a little bit of picture, Leslie, about what's driving that growth in Austin and the demand that's going on right now that is, I'm hearing, is just incredible.
Right. Well, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that there's not a personal income tax or a corporate income tax is very desirable for employers to move here, and the opportunities of lower cost of living for their employees. So we've got Tesla, Google, Amazon, SpaceX, Apple, Facebook, Oracle, just a lot of these big major employers that are moving their headquarters to Austin. And so along with that comes C-level execs, and that's kind of where we're focusing. So there really is right now a fairly limited inventory of that high-end luxury market in Austin. One of the buildings that we've sold in a lot is at 70 Rainey, but others of that quality would be Fifth and West, the Austin proper, the Residence at the W, the Independent, Four Seasons, the Austonian. People that have been investing or paying prices in San Francisco that could be anywhere from $2,100 a square foot up to $4,000 a square foot are quite pleased with the $1,200 square foot prices in Austin currently.
And Leslie, geographically, where is the Compass office that you work out of there in Austin, Texas?
The Compass office is right off of Mopac on Bee Caves. There is also a downtown office in downtown proper.
And as far as you helping your buyers and sellers, do you do that geographically, or are you focused on downtown, or are you all over the Austin area?
We primarily are focused on the downtown office market, but there are a lot of other opportunities that just happen to come out in the, of doing our business where we may be expanding a little further out or occasionally a single family home type situation. But for the most part, we're focusing on the downtown Austin market.
When they get to Austin, Texas, what are the things, let's say they come, we hear about people coming from California, but also where else are you seeing people come from to go to Austin? And those that have never been there before, what are the things that they tell you after they either lease a property or buy a property as far as their impressions of the city and of Texas?
Well, they love the walkability. There's a very vibrant downtown activities that are happening. They love we have Lady Bird Lake that runs right through Austin. And so it's just the walkability, I would say, is the biggest. And also all of the music and the views from our building. Like one of the units we just sold has an amazing view of Lady Bird Lake and the sunsets every evening. And so whereas a lot of local people one of the benefits with Denise and I is that she has a broader perspective than just the local perspective. So some buildings that local people may not find at the top of their list, people coming in, we just leased an apartment to a children's book author who came from Brooklyn, New York. And so they love certain areas that maybe locals wouldn't. So I think the one of the benefits with Denise and I is that I have the local knowledge and local network, and she has a much more, through her investors, a national and international perspective, and we're getting that word out to people looking for opportunities in Austin, Texas.
We're talking with Leslie Thompson. That was Leslie right there. She's in Austin, Texas with Compass Real Estate, and Denise Paulson in San Francisco, also with Compass Real Estate, with this very unique and exciting partnership. Give us another word, Denise, about how it works. Now, you're also doing things outside of just working with Leslie, but periodically, I guess throughout the week, you'll have collaborations of sorts, but you're also doing things on your own out there, person to person with your clients, right?
First of all, yes. Leslie and I are just getting started. So we've had 3 transactions that are about to turn into many, many more. So the word is just out that that I've got an arm and a leg in Austin, and Leslie's my team player and partner, and she's exercising all the work. And in San Francisco, I have a team that works with me, and I've got 4 people that are busy, closing deals once a week, either a lease or a sale. So I'm doing the same thing Leslie and I are doing together in Austin in San Francisco.
In fact, I'm thinking there may even be clients, either have had them already or will have them. I think if money's no object, I might want to be the person to have a nice home in Austin as my base and my no state income tax base, but yet I might want to lease or buy a property in San Francisco from Denise to enjoy those super views and the weather. Is that okay?
That's okay with us.
There you go.
Give us a call and we'll get you hooked up.
Well, people are listening. Not sure how many millions it is right now, but we are the 4th largest city, this Houston, Texas, where we broadcast from. Who knows who's listening, and that could very well happen, and I hope it does, because really Austin and San Francisco are 2 beautiful, wonderful cities. Give us a little bit about your background. Let's start with Denise. We didn't talk about that initially, but you have a very unique background. Let's tell people about that.
I'm on my 3rd career. My first career, for 25 years, I was a litigation paralegal in San Francisco, working at all the top firms and for the top lawyers here in town. In 97, I had an idea when the first .com experience came to San Francisco to start a business, and it was a concierge business, which turned into much more. So in the long end, I had 11 buildings and 18 employees for 10 years, where I trained, coached, and managed the front desk at commercial buildings and residential condominium buildings here in town, and performed research and development for the residents and the tenants of those buildings. For example, the concierges were notary publics. They sold stamps and transportation cards, and they were able to make reservations and perform all R&D. So whatever those residents and tenants of those buildings needed, they were there to take care of it. Some of those desks were 24-hour desks, and so it was a very busy business, and that's where Leslie came in and really helped me a lot. In 2008, which is when all of those buildings, or most of them, one by one, decided they didn't need my contracts anymore, they wanted to keep my employees, so I sold them the employees. So I turned from concierge into recruiter and cut some deals with all those folks, and they got to keep my employees, which made me very happy for everybody. Then I just turned my attention to the real estate field, and that was since 2009 or so. I did take a year off, and then here I am today. So 23 years plus of building my real estate relationships has been a real joy.
And Leslie, let's tell people, Leslie Thompson in Austin, Texas, let's tell people a little bit about your background.
Well, like I said, I started in real estate, and I have had many different careers spanning from marketing and high tech to political fundraising to sports athletes, sports marketing. Even I still have on the side a welding business where I like to weld furniture, fire pits, outdoor type fountains, those type of things. I just found myself, after being burnt out from all of the high tech and honestly aging out, that it was time for me to find something else. And so, like I said earlier, just connected with Denise and reinstated my license, and we have been going full blast ever since. And so for me, it's just a full circle back into real estate from when I first started out in my first career back in the late 80s. As I have had my salesman's license in 1987, my broker's license in 89, then I got my license in California. So I've always dabbled in and out of real estate throughout my long and varied career. And so I am happy to be back and working with Denise, and it's just been such an exciting journey so far. Within the first 4 months with Denise's closing, we have listed a luxury condo, negotiated 2 full-price offers, sold and closed it. And so, like Denise said, we're just getting started, and it was a great first transaction.
Well, today, with this phone call, this 3-way phone call, there are 2 of our show firsts for Real Estate Matters. Number one, this is the first time we've had a San Francisco real estate professional, and also the first time we've had a welder on the show, as far as I know. So that is tremendous. Let me ask you this, Leslie. As far as Austin, Texas, let's say someone never saw Austin or is not aware of the wonders and how nice it is to live in Austin. Give us a bullet point on why you love living in Austin, Texas, in case someone wants to know.
I would say the restaurants are fabulous.
Yes.
The outdoor activities, from hiking to kayaking, paddleboarding, all of that's available and accessible. The music scene is still quite vibrant. And then just the friendliness of Austin. You know, we're growing. It's definitely changed from when I went to school here in the 80s. There is construction everywhere. There's even a website called the Crane Watch. You can see all the different cranes that are around the city. So it's growing and changing. But at the very base of it is still the down-to-earth Austin, keep Austin weird. So it's just a unique place to live and visit.
It really is. Also, one of the things I like is the terrain. Living in Houston, many people know that live here and visit, it is super flat. So that's the beauty of having something that has hills and those things in the state of Texas. Now, Denise Paulson, right there in San Francisco, if someone maybe never seen a movie with the Golden Gate Bridge or never visited San Francisco, tell people what you love about San Francisco and why that's a great place to move.
Well, being born and raised here in San Francisco and really never living anywhere else, that's an easy one. It's familiar to me. The changes that have occurred over the years have been, I think, wonderful. Not everybody agrees. I like that people, during the COVID pandemic in the beginning, everybody left San Francisco. Not everybody, but a percentage of people wanted to get out of controlled environment, condominiums and such, and went elsewhere, and it opened the doors for other people to come to San Francisco, which is what I experienced here with the leasing programs and the buying programs of these condominiums that I work in. So I've been delighted to see that. And, we have a very interesting art community. We have amazing restaurants. I mean, how long do we have to talk about that? But, and then it's a walking city. So, when visitors come, the tourists come, they find a way to come back and live here. And those are the stories that I hear on a regular basis.
Well, this has been a very interesting segment, ladies. Before we wind up the segment, Leslie, let's tell people what else you would like them to know.
I am a member of the Dara Luxury Group at Compass, And that came about via Denise when she was recruiting me, found me just the right home, and it's been great to be a part of Dara's luxury team. And then I also just, in addition to our partnership in real estate, I feel very honored to have also be a student of Denise's coaching team, coaching practice. And without her guidance, I would not be able to have pivoted like this and moved into my final career. And so, Denise, you want to say a little bit about your real estate practice, your real estate coaching practice?
Sure. Well, over the years, there aren't many leasing agents in San Francisco. And over the years, I've had agents run up to me and say, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I will say one question, and I'll give them the answer to that question. And it's not usually a few words, but it's a long answer, and I help teach them what to do. So while the pandemic had us restricted from going out, I had the idea that I should start up my coaching career, coaching real estate agents only, by the way. So I started that in April of last year, and I've had about 12, I think I'm on my 12th student, and it's been a complete joy to offer those services. And I do have a separate website for those services. There's some testimonials there that you can learn a little bit about what it is that my students have garnered from their experience.
And what is the website, Denise?
It's easy. It's Denise Paulson, PAULSON.com.
Denise, DENISE, PAULSON.com. And the people that you're helping or will help, are they in San Francisco, or you're helping them all over the United States?
They can be anywhere. Okay. It's just real practical advice. We create their curriculum together. I get to know them a little bit, and then we come up with a plan on how I can pivot them to move it forward. And, it takes years and years and years there's no school for the real estate student. And, coaching, I think, is what every real estate agent needs at some points in their career.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. First, we're going to tell people how they can reach you, Denise Paulson in San Francisco. Denise, give us the coordinates on your Compass website and also your phone number, if you would, please.
Thank you. It's Denise, DENISE, Paulson, PAULSON, at Compass, just like the compass, .com. And my text or talk is 415-860-0718.
Once again, that's 415-860-0718.
Yes.
And Leslie Thompson right there in Austin, Texas. Let's tell people how they can reach you.
My email is Leslie, LESLIE, .L.Thompson, THOMPSON, at compass.com. And my cell for text or talk is 512-971-9773.
That's 512-971-9773. There's another distinction. In fact, John's right here. What's that other distinction, John, with Leslie and the group?
Well, her mom was my math teacher.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yes.
So there you go. And also something about Alvin, Texas, right?
No, fighting Yellow Jackets.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it. You can reach Denise right there in San Francisco at 415-860-0718. And Leslie Thompson in Austin, 512-971-9773. But thank you all so much for being on the show.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Real Estate Matters would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance, with a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers. Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. John.
Hello, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Oh, what a show today. I mean, you talk about interesting and variety. Fascinating.
It really is. Steve Schmidt is one of my favorite people, and I really like Integrity Solutions and their Integrity Selling program. Their view of selling, this idea, it's building relationships, meeting needs, and providing value. That to me just resonates throughout your life, whether it be personal or professional. That philosophy really is always sat home with me, and I've had the good pleasure of working with them with a couple of companies, including Stewart Insurance. I also really liked a couple other things that I like everything that they teach, but I really like the congruence model and the idea of that the more that all of those different elements come together into one, the better sales professional and really the better professional we would be. And then those 4 traits really come across and are important for anything you do. So I'm really a fan of that. And then Leslie and Denise have a really unique partnership with 2 interesting towns and dynamic towns, and I think they found a really nice niche that can help them in both markets. And as that partnership grows, I'm sure that the areas that they'll serve will grow. But they're both bright, aggressive, client-driven professionals. So I'm excited for the future that they both have.
Yeah, indeed. I hope we get to have them back. And I might want to say, too, you in this show, you are the casting director 100%. That's right. You, and thanks to Will Melbourne, our producer, for being able to coordinate those calls in 2 cities far away and get the balances and everything right.
Oh yeah, Will is fantastic and does a great job for us, and we're fortunate to have him on our iHeartMedia team and the Real Estate Matters team. But no, I was glad that we were able to bring Steve on board, and I had reconnected with Leslie several months ago at a function, and found out that she had made a pivot in her career and moved in the real estate world, and we spent some time talking about what she was doing in Austin with Compass, and then what she was doing with her partnership with Denise in San Francisco, and how all those work together and how those cities have kind of become entwined with the corporate influences and locations in both markets. So I just felt like that would be a really interesting topic for our listeners.
And also, I remind people all the time, Stewart Insurance, you're no stranger to the San Francisco, Southern California markets, Austin, Texas. People far and wide know the name Stewart Insurance, and even John Bramlett for that matter.
Well, even John Bramlett for that, yes. But no, we are fortunate that we work with clients throughout the U.S., both with their personal insurance, home, flood, wind, motorcycle, auto, with our real estate partners, the title and attorney agents and real estate brokers, property managers, helping their clients with their insurance, but also helping their business insurance, whether it be an errors and omissions policy or a bond, cyber liability policy, business owner's policy, commercial property, general liability, workers' comp. We have a variety of partners that we work with to make sure that our clients are properly insured.
Well, as far as insurance, what are some of the other things in the insurance world that you want to hit upon today? Well,
I was fortunate enough to spend some time with some first-time home buyers recently on a program it's based here in Houston, and this group works with underserved and underprivileged neighborhoods, both for their home buyers as well as some economic development. And we just talked a little bit about the importance of knowing what's in your policy and understanding the elements of your policy, whether it's a all perils policy or a named perils policy. Is it replacement cost or average cash value? Do you have water damage coverage in your homeowner's policy? And if so, for what of the 4 different types of water damage? So we spent some time talking about that and shared hopefully some good, valuable information for our listeners, but also just as a reminder, make the time to take a look at your policy, or if you are a first-time home buyer, spend some time with an insurance advisor so you understand what risk you're willing to take on versus the risk you would like to place on the insurance partner.
That's right, because the policy has a lot of fine print. Again, encouraging people to read the policy and at the very least talk to your insurance advisor. If it's Stewart Insurance, your people do an exceptional job of explaining what is not covered, what you can add, and what the policy, how it's tailored so that we the end result is that we're properly insured, and that being the goal versus just saying, hey, are we covered, honey, or whatever. Well, we want to make sure we're properly insured works.
Well, and I appreciate that, and you're right. We focus that whether it is helping an independent title and attorney agent or a real estate broker with their professional liability coverage and a cyber plan, or helping a homeowner with their home insurance and auto and motorcycle, or a renter with their renter's insurance and car insurance. That the key is understanding what risks you're willing to take on yourself and what risk you're willing to accept and what risk you're not. So that could translate into a very basic plan. That could translate into a plan that has coverage across the board where you're having very little risk. But it's just a matter of what your comfort level is and what's important to you at this point in your life. And as long as you understand that and you're comfortable with those decisions, then in our mind, you're properly insured. And that's what our goal always is to make the time with our clients to make sure that we understand what their needs and wants are, what their concerns are, and then we address those with the most appropriate insurance plan possible.
And before we close the segment, John, what else do you want people to know?
Well, we're growing. We're looking for insurance advisors that have experience, those professional sales agents. We're also looking for experienced service agents in the insurance world. And if you have an interest in being part of the Stewart insurance team, whether you be in Houston or throughout the state of Texas or maybe even beyond, we'd be interested in speaking with you. And you can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. You can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com or visit us online at stewartinsurance.com.
If someone's driving across the Golden Gate Bridge right now on their cell phone and they want to call Stewart Insurance, what number should they call?
They should call us 866-798-2827. And if they're paddleboarding on Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas, they can call us at 866-798-2827.
And I think about this as we try to touch geographies all over, as the internet, even all over the world. People hear the show every now and then. But today, at the time of broadcast, we're right here in Houston, Texas, all the activity going on. If you're listening at that time of broadcast from 5 to 6, but also, as we had Leslie and Denise, those are two markets I think we've touched. Maybe got some extra people to listen in San Francisco and in Austin. And then Steve with Integrity Solutions, Phoenix, Arizona, and their corporate office right there in Nashville.
Tennessee.
That's a nice, if we put that, those are 4 nice posts for our deck that we're building called Real Estate Matters.
Yeah, it's the worldwide leader in real estate. Real Estate Matters.
That's right. So thank you, John, for being the casting director. Thank you, Will, for putting this all together in a tremendous way. And also thank you all for listening to our show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik, reminding you, join us every week. Tell friends about it in wherever you are geographically. We would appreciate that. And, of course, you can go see and hear this show anytime you want, all 402 shows or 401 shows prior to this at stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. It's stewart.com/radio. And, of course, we would be honored to be stewards of your real estate transaction at any Stewart Title. Just go to stewart.com. Once again, the show's stewart.com/radio. Thank you all for listening wherever you are, and we'll see you next week.
That's stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.